country that has been attacked wants peace, and the aggressive part wants the war to continue. And therefore, we have to be able to give the right answer, and it has to be powerful, unfortunately, because I would prefer peaceful time instead of wartime in Europe. My suggestion is let us end the discussion about red lines.
Okay.
And let us not Ukrainian needs not only to protect themselves, but also to push Russia back.
So on the question of whether or not Ukraine should be allowed without restriction to strike within Russia with donated gear, where you stand?
It has, of course, to be according to international law, but from a Danish perspective, we are not working with restrictions. And I think it has been a mistake during this war to have a public discussion about red lines. For me, it is, the meaning of this public discussion about red lines and restrictions are simply giving the Russians too good card on their hands. So, of course, Ukraine needs to work according to international law, but as long as they do that, there are no restrictions from a Danish perspective.
And Putin has said that if the Ukrainians are in fact allowed to do this, that they're able to strike within Russia, that this would be escalating the conflict to a sort of potentially NATO-wide thing. Putin said many things. When he says that, what do you hear?
First of all, I will not accept that Putin decides what the rest of the world should do. He is the only one responsible for a war going on in Europe. He could end this war right now. Right now. From the very beginning, the Russians, including Putin, have put a lot of different things on the table, saying if you're going to do this, then you will cross a red line. But the one most important red line has been crossed already, and that was when the Russians entered Ukraine. So I will not accept this premise, and I will never allow anyone from Russia to decide what is the right thing to do in NATO, in Europe, or in Ukraine.
But of course, you're also on the doorstep, so you are at higher risk, and that does not factor in for you.
No, of course not. And you cannot, if you want to tackle a war situation in Europe, you cannot work with these methods, because when I look at Russia today, and please don't talk about Putin, we have to talk about Russia. Yeah. When you look at the Russian behavior, not only in Ukraine, but also in the West Balkans, when you look at the behavior in the Middle East, in Africa, in the Sahel region, I see a Russia that is trying to destabilize this world with a lot of different measures. And if you look at the situation now in the rest of Europe, look at cyber attacks, look at hybrid attacks, look at disinformation. Well, Russia is working to destabilize the world order that the two of us, the only world order that we know, and therefore this thinking that if we allow him to take Ukraine or parts of Ukraine, then he will be satisfied, I disagree.